Today, what the great, legendary Roger Federer taught me about losing and massive failure. Michael McLean, brassballsvideos.com. I am an ex-professional hockey coach, ex-amateur championship hockey coach turned 8-figure entrepreneur. You can grab a free copy of my brand new book, 5 Ways to Unfuck Your Life in the Next 30 Days. It's a free download below in the comments, brassballsvideos.com. Admittedly, my brand new book is not every entrepreneur's cup of whiskey. It is for champions, not chumps, for winners, not whiners. The link, free link, is below, nothing else to buy. So I have to share with you a story about the great Roger Federer that I wrote about in this month's Michael McLean newsletter. And the link, by the way, to my physical newsletter is below in the details. So Roger Federer is one of my all-time favorite athletes in any sport. The level of professionalism, the level of grace, the level of class that this guy has carried himself with over the last 20 years is absolutely badass. When you compare him to some of the punch-drunk tomato cans that we see in pro sports, with all their whining, crying, excuse-making, with all their virtue signaling and preaching instead of just playing the sport, this guy here is one of the all-time great guys. He's a proven champion. I have him top 3 tennis ever. I grew up learning, self-teaching. I self-taught myself the game of tennis. I grew up in the Bjorn Borg, Johnny McEnroe era. The villain versus the other guy. It was Jimmy Connors. I'm a huge Connors fan. I love Nadal, love Djokovic. But man, oh man, Federer is the guy with the grace. He's the guy, silky smooth, one of the most mentally tough cleaners, kings ever. But what I want to share with you today is something very different. That Roger Federer, who has won the 3rd most matches in history, 3rd most. The only players that have won more matches than Federer are, of course, Djokovic and Nadal. So this is a guy who's 3rd all-time in matches won. So you would think that this guy's all about the wins, right? But I have what I call a Roger Federer badass rule. And I call it my fail forward rule. That's a writer-downer. Fail with flair, fail forward at all times. In other words, Federer reminds me that there is no winning without massive failure every day. This is one of the reasons that when we sit at the kitchen table at night, we're having our family dinner, no technology, just my wife, Krista, my daughter, Emery. I love to ask my daughter, what did you fail at today? I want her to have that mental toughness mindset that failure is part of the process of winning. In fact, like Roger Federer always says, we learn a hell of a lot more from losing than we do from winning. My grandfather used to say, losing teaches us to smarten up and get better. Losing takes us behind the woodshed and teaches us to smarten up and get better. So whenever I'm feeling frustrated or angry or disappointed when I'm failing, five times a day I feel like quitting, but I don't. I think of the Roger Federer rule of failing forward and failing with flair. And what I mean by that is what I wrote about in the newsletter here, where Roger has won 1,251 matches before he retired. 1,251 matches in his career. Of course, that makes him number 3 in tennis history. And this badass king has 20 Grand Slam victories. The only guys that have more, of course, are Djokovic and Nadal. So here's the thing that nobody knows, and this is my rule about failure. What have you failed at today? Federer has only won in his career 53% of his points. Think about that for a second. I'm going to say that again. This is the third greatest tennis player in history. He's won 20 Grand Slam championships. He's won over 1,200 matches. He is a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame player, one of the greatest athletes of all time. And he's only won 53% of his individual points in his career. All he does is win, which means on the other side of it, that means that he's lost 47% of every point he's ever played. 47% of the time he has failed and lost the point, and 53% of the time he's won. And when I was reading an article on Federer years ago, this came to me. I'm like, he talked about everything that we don't have today in today's world. And that's the fact that everybody is either living in the future. That's why we have massive anxiety. That's why we have massive worry and stress. What's going to happen? What's around the corner? Oh my goodness, living in the future. And then you have the other group of people who are always living in the past. Oh, I regret this. Oh, this didn't go my way. My parents weren't good people. I didn't live in the right community, the victim culture. But that's the depression. That's the, oh my God, I screwed this up, and living in the past. And then the top 1%ers are the only people in today's world that live with both feet in today. They live with both feet in today. Precious present. This is one of the reasons I don't carry a cell phone. I don't participate in anti-social media. I don't watch television. I don't participate in politics. I don't participate in the bought and paid for news. What I do is I keep both feet in today as much as humanly possible. When I'm with my wife, I'm with my wife. When I'm with my daughter, I'm with my daughter. When I'm shooting a video, I'm shooting a video. When I'm swimming, I'm swimming. When I'm driving, I'm driving. When I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. When I'm praying, I'm praying. When I'm on a date night, I'm on a date night. But Roger Federer is the one that reminds me of this when I start to get, think about the past, or I start to think about the future. The Roger Federer fail forward rule brings me right back. So Federer talks about this in his book where he says, I'm losing 47% of every point, every serve, every volley, every forehand, every backhand. So I better get I better get comfortable with losing and failure, but I better get comfortable with putting everything behind me, including winning and losing. Like if he wins the point, he puts it behind him. If he loses the point, he puts it behind him. He learns and moves on. And he literally has 30 seconds to do it. So this guy is a machine when it comes to being in the precious present. He is a machine when it comes to keeping both feet in today. He's a machine when it comes to being where his feet are. If he messes up a game or a point or a serve or double faults or blows a point, he instantly has to collect himself and move into the precious present. Maybe learn something, maybe not, but brand new. So every 30 seconds, every 45 seconds, the score is 0-0. Literally. You hear Nick Saban and those guys talk about forget about the crowd, forget about your opponent, forget about the scoreboard. Just focus on, what you have to do to win right now. Win this snap or win this shift or win this point. Precious present. Well, in tennis, every 30 seconds, every 45 seconds, it's like, put it behind you, move on. Success, put it behind you, move on. Failure, put it behind you and move on. But if you're not in the precious present, there's no chance. And I believe this is why Nadal and McEnroe and Connors and Chris Everett, Navratilova, Steffi Graf, Agassi, all the greatest players of all time, Djokovic. They have this incredible mental and emotional toughness where that's over with. Flip a switch, turn the page, and I'm worried about right now. Think about this power of keeping both feet exactly in today in your business, in your marriage, your connection with your kids, your physical health. When you're at the gym, you're at the gym. When you're reading, you're reading. When you're on a date night, you're on a date night. When you're copywriting, you're copywriting. Basically, every point is Federer's magic time. It's his deep work. We talk about deep work, block out all the distractions when you're writing or when you do one thing and do it well. But he's the ultimate anti doing more than one thing. Like, as a tennis player, this guy can't do anything but play that one point. So every point is his magic time. Every point is his deep work. And if he gets too far in the past or he gets too far ahead, that's when he loses. And that's what he talks about. When he's at his best, when he was winning 20 Grand Slam championships, he's in the precious present. He's in the precious present all through the peaks and valleys, never emotionally drunk, just solid as a rock, turn the page, both feet in today. So how can we take on this rule, the Roger Federer, fail forward, fail with flair? Well, first of all, in our mind, we need to understand that if we're not failing all the time, we're not really pushing ourselves. We're not really living life, because you need to fail constantly to eventually win. And in most cases, we got to fail day after day, week after week, year after year, until even a decade, until all of that learning then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of winning, having a chance to win at least. But failure is your friend. Failure is your friend. And that's why I asked my daughter, that's why I asked myself, that's why I asked my queen, what have you failed at today? I don't want them to think like the 99% where failing is losing. There's actually winning and there's learning. I've always told my hockey players, there's winning and there's learning. And if we're going to lose and we're going to fail, I sure as hell, if I'm sick to my stomach, I want to learn something from it. So there's winning and there's learning. So that's how Federer approaches every single point, every serve, every point. Okay, is there something I need to do better? Boom, precious present. But that's why he's one of the greatest of all time, is both feet in today. 1,200 match wins, 20 Grand Slams. Can you imagine the mental toughness? But he's precious present. Doesn't matter what the score is, doesn't matter what the crowd's doing, doesn't matter what the weather, doesn't matter any of that stuff, who he's playing. It's just this point, this point, this point. That's how we won our hockey championship. I didn't talk about the other team. I didn't talk about the crowd. I didn't talk about any of that stuff. Win your shift. Win your shift. Win your shift. 25 shifts a period times 3 periods. That's 75 shifts. Win 75 shifts. When you're on the ice, win your shift. We get scored on, win your next shift. We score it, win your next shift. And after 75 shifts, the scoreboard will take care of itself. Same thing with Federer, just winning the point, winning the point, winning the point. Looks up after 3 hours, and most days he's happy with that scoreboard. That is the discipline of keeping both feet in today. That is the precious present. Be where your feet are. That's the big thing. The other thing I'd recommend is I don't have all these distractions pulling me into the past and pulling me into the future. I got all of that stuff out of my life. I don't carry that dumb phone. I don't have any access to the news, to social media, to politics. So when I'm doing something, I've got zero multitasking in my life. What's multitasking? Multitasking is doing a whole bunch of things, none of them well. So do you think Roger Federer was a multitasker? Do you think he was worried about 2 points ago and 2 points ahead and the weather and how his shoes feel and his string tension? Or do you think he was just focused on the one thing? Multitasking, doing a whole bunch of things, none of them well. When I get up in the morning and I pray, I pray. When I'm brushing my teeth, I'm brushing my teeth. When I'm walking outside in nature, I'm walking outside in nature, solitude. When I sit down to read my book with my morning coffee, I sit down and read my book with my morning coffee. When I sit down and write an email or shoot a video for you, I write an email or shoot a video for you. When I'm driving, I'm driving. When I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to a podcast. When I'm out boating with my wife, I'm out boating with my wife. When whatever I'm doing, both feed in today, the Roger Federer rule. The Roger Federer fail forward, fail with flair. We're going to fail, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to be frustrated, but there's winning and there's learning. There's winning and there's learning. But the biggest thing you can do for yourself as a king builder, as an empire builder, as a world builder in 2024 is get control of your focus. Get control of the first hour of your day, get control of your magic time, get control of your deep work, and keep thinking about Roger Federer. Keep coming back to the present. Get distracted, come back to the present, and get rid of all the toxic rat poison distractions in your life. Put the phone away. Do one thing at a time. Time yourself 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. But get rid of the 99% normie multitasking. People running around, they're like chickens with their head cut off, and do the exact opposite. Deep, focused, magic time on the one thing you're doing. And then once you've completed that one thing and done it well, do the next thing. Magic deep work, the Roger Federer rule. Both feed in today and focus every day on being where your feet are. That precious, precious, precious present. If you're not happy with the first 6 months of your year, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're dissatisfied, maybe you've plateaued, or maybe you're just lonely and want to be around other high peak perform people, or maybe you want my help coaching. If you like these videos, the only way you can get one-on-one coaching is from me and my mastermind. Well, I'm relaunching it after a year off on August 1st. If you want to be put on the no obligation list, it's not you're not obligated, but if you want to learn more about my mastermind, just put Federer in the comments. Federer in the comments. Mark Andre, my business partner, I'll send you some details about it in about a week, and you can say yay or nay. It's perfectly okay either way. It's going to be 25 men, live events, weekly or bi-weekly trainings. We're going to have some live events in Florida. I bring in pro coaches, $997 a month. None of this 50 grand a year, 30 grand a year. It's affordable for the serious student. It's for entrepreneurs. It's for men. It's for husbands. It's for fathers. But just put Federer in the comments if you want to be added to the notification list. Once you get the details, you can say hell yes, you can say hell no. I'm perfectly good either way. But if you are interested in working with me one-on-one for the second part of this year, $997 a month, then write Federer in the comments and we'll get you some details. You can also download my brand new book for free at Brass Balls Videos, which is also below this video. I appreciate comments. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate you sharing these videos with people that it can help. Life is a gift. Live with an attitude of gratitude. 2 words that change my life, 2 words that can change yours. Be relentless.